It's always summer.
It's always summer somewhere or not.
No, it still is. Thank you.
I know.
So how you doing?
I'm good. I'm really good. Surprisingly, I have a lot of energy. I just got my second wind, so it's very exciting. Yeah.
What's it like to kind of not play yourself?
It's kind of strange. It's strange. But also what I've been telling everybody today is I still, although I am Janet and I am living under this new guise, who she is at her core, because it's safe to assume that the only thing that's been wiped from her memory is magic or any memory of it existing in the world or relating to her. So there's a huge, enormous part of her identity that has been extricated against her will. But who she is and how she sees the world and her observations through her lens and her eyes is still the same. She's still the same soul, human.
Genetics.
Just does not remember anything about her life as a magician, but it's safe to assume she had an identity obviously constructed before magic. So there's a lot of similarities, more than I thought there would be.
But she still had that feistiness and sense of humor?
She does. I decided that was one of her core qualities, so I retained that. And so did the writers, which is lovely. And her knack for cultural references. It's all still there.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Something to enjoy.
Yeah.
Are there any major differences that you can
yeah.
forecast?
Actually, something that happened kind of like spontaneously, because I think one of the things that I love most about Margot is her fearlessness. She's fearless. I mean, she almost doesn't think before she acts sometimes. And maybe she should have a little more fear. But anyway, so Janet is not as fearless, because I think the confrontations that Margot's had because of magic being in her life have exposed her to much more life-threatening situations than a typical job would have. So I think her fearlessness and some of her courage was probably developed over time with being a magician, and Janet has not had those experiences, so she still jumps at something spooky, and she still reacts to things in a more fearful way. Yes. Yeah. 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 Huge. Yeah. I mean, I kind of didn't, I never, like, when I see material, because we see so much happens on our show, and so many things do pack a punch, like that election did, an emotional heart and an emotional truth. But you can never really play to that or expect to play to that. So sometimes as I'm seeing this material, I'm not even thinking about the sort of perception of it. So when I read that, I was connected to it as the performer and as, whatever, Elliot, I can run forward too. And look what happened. Obviously, I had that moment to myself, but I wasn't thinking about that. To me, I read it as very comedic on my first take. And it was really just another comedic scene and quick and what it is. But I was very quickly directed to the place that I arrived at, and I didn't expect it to play that way, but it just it felt right, and it just kind of happened in my body to react emotionally like that. I didn't even think I would. It was an interesting experience. Yeah, it was. I know. Yeah, he's so great. Anytime I do a scene with him, it's like, I love it. I miss it so much. Why is he a monster? Where is he? There he is.
How would you like to go back again?
It's amazing. I mean, you have no idea how much you take for granted until you've not had vision in one eye. I mean, really, just like on everyday basic skill level. But then on top of that, as a performer, it's like I feel like there's this edge that I always have season 1, season 2, season 3 that I had, and I'm still a ball of nerves about my performance. But there was always this like sort of like exhaustion edge that I had season 3 that like I liked. It like reminded me that I was doing everything in my power to have a good performance, like after a good workout, that I don't have this year because there's no eye patch. So I'm like, okay, no, I'm still doing a good job. I just have 2 eyes now. So it's not as challenging as it was necessarily. So yeah, I'm glad they're back. Yeah. I never in a million years would have looked like anything our amazing costume designer made. I knew she would take it there because I know her and I know the character, and we just had to do that. And I'm so glad we did. But I loved the blue one, and that was my favorite. That was my all-time favorite. So, yeah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Did you and Stella coordinate?
It just kind of happens with us. And on set, everyone's like, Stella, Summer, Stella. And we're like, yeah, we're used to it.
Yes.